We all thought that this month, April 2023, was going to be different to the craziness of 21 and 22. Well, let's find out if it's actually worked out that way. Hi everyone, it is time to get into the nitty-gritty of the stats because here we are, start of May, April has finished, and the big question that we've all been talking about, we've all been asking, we've all been feeling is we are now like roughly a year away from kind of the peak time, May, June of last year, when prices here in Halifax area were kind of at their highest, around about the 649 range, I think it was. So what we're looking at here today is information on April. We're at the very start of May, so literally we are getting this done and getting it out to you, because if you're moving here to Halifax or the surrounding area, or if you're already here, you really need to know the stats, because it's not really applicable anymore to kind of compare ourselves to last year. We just don't have the inventory. Certainly prices have gone up a lot over the last 2.5 years, something like that. So you've got to make sure that basically you are understanding the market stats. That's why you're here. We want to educate you, keep you up to date on everything. So let's start with that wonderful number that everybody always wants to know first of all, which is, tell me the average selling price that we got for the whole of HRM, for the month of April. $618,000, 229. So pretty up there. Like if we look at last month, that price was just about 580. So we are up 7% on last month. I thought we were kind of going to be hovering like around about the 530, 540s, maybe 550 range. Last month was 580. This month we're at 618. We are rocking around that 600 kind of number, like, 580, 620. So like middle of the two, we're at 600s, which kind of gives you an idea as to where the market's going, because certainly in the month of April, we have found that multiple offers are absolutely back on the table. That is what's keeping our average price fairly high, because sale to list price, we are 100.6%. So list price was 614,549, selling price 618,229. So like $3,500 over, 0.6%. So when you look at that, yes, we're listing is up. Now, there's definitely some outliers in here that we'll go into in terms of like, fairly pricey houses, over $1 million and then some in certain markets. So that has had an influence on what's been going on. But realistically, when you look at these numbers, like we are not getting into the kind of mid fives anymore. It seems like we're staying high fives, low sixes, and that's really what's showing up. So last year, we were at 629. So yeah, we're only down 2% on last year. 618 this year, 629 this time last month, last year, this month, last month. No, this month, last year was 629. So like we're only down 2%. Now, interesting though, in April of last year, it was 119% sale to list price. Now we're at like 100.6. So let's call it 100. So you can see that we've now done the balancing that we needed to do in terms of, yes, there are, and just looking at this, we had 188 homes that were over asking price and 194 homes that were less than asking price. So let's basically say it's an even split of what went over and what went under, hence the just over 100% sale to list price. So you can see that the listing price has come up and people are kind of bouncing around that asking price and not crazy going over. There's definitely some markets that did, absolutely, but not that many. And most of the offers I've been writing have either been like just at asking price, just below, or just slightly over. We've not been going, like go to last year, 119% sale to list price. That meant you were writing $50,000, $60,000 over asking price. We're not doing that so much anymore. It's definitely still happening, just not as much. And definitely from chatting with other realtors in especially Dartmouth area, they were saying they were seeing like 7 offers on a house, 8 offers on a house. One had 18 offers on a house. So multiple offers are absolutely back. Now, once we've said that, let's look at how many houses we sold. We sold 356 houses this time in April. Last month, that was 272, so we're up 31% on last month. 526 though, April last year, so we're down 32% on last year. So the volume we're doing is absolutely not happening. So maybe that's because the selling price is so much higher that Halifax has probably become a little bit less affordable in terms of an average price point compared to, like, some of the issues last year. Let's also think that the interest rates on mortgages were lower last year. So could you have afforded, and it was cheaper to buy a $618,000 house last year? Yeah, it absolutely was cheaper. Now it's not so much because interest rates have gone up to 4.5, 4.75. Number of homes that are active for sale, 626 last month, 559 last year, only 316. So we're double last year's number, and we are up like 12, 13% on last month as well. So once you see more properties on the market, that means that there is obviously more houses available, which means there is more choice in terms of choosing which house you actually want. So maybe that's another reason why we're not seeing as many multiple offers. But in areas, pretty much most of Dartmouth is a very tight inventory market. There's not a lot available for sale there. So everybody wants to buy the house, and therefore that's why you're getting 7, 8, 18 offers on houses in that area. Number of months of inventory, we're at 1.8. Last month, that was 2.1. Last year, that was 0.6. So apart from the average price, which is slightly lower than last year, all of our indicators in terms of availability of houses, months of inventory, days on market, although the days on market are longer, you would say better maybe than last year. So all of our markers, apart from that price, are basically showing that it's a little bit easier than last year, that's for sure. Jumping back into the days on market, 25 days on market, it was 28 last month, but it was 9 last year. So you can see it's become a lot easier, and houses are definitely staying on the market longer than they were last year. Interesting, the way that realtors say when to have offers in by, that to kind of like the back end realtor remarks, they've started going back to the all offers in by a certain day at a certain time, and then leave them open for 24 hours, something like that. We're starting to see more and more of that, and that is absolutely an indication that there is multiple offers coming in, and therefore things are actually going to kind of go in like 5 or 6 days on market. So then match that as well with 25 days on market this month versus 28 last month. And you can see that like stuff's starting to turn a little bit quicker than last year. Some of the other numbers that we always like to look at, of course, is the sales that were sold, sales sold, to the new listings that were actually brought to the market. So we had 503 listings that were brought to the market. We sold the 356. That gives us a 71% sales to new listing ratio in terms of how many houses are coming on versus how many were selling. Last year, that was 119%. So a lot less houses being put on the market compared to the sales that we were doing. Last month, that was at 63%, so like a little bit less sales, a little bit higher new listings. So again, that's showing that we aren't stripping out the amount of new listings that are coming to the market every single month, because once you're over 100%, it's like, well, you are just eating into inventory. You're just taking the inventory away. Whereas now we're actually putting inventory on, hence the 1.8 months of inventory compared to last year at 0.6. So it's kind of making sense. Now, when we look at the price, I did want to point out that of the 356 homes, there was 17 over $1 million house sales. A couple of those impacted the areas that are obviously showing in the top 4 markets actually for sales volume. And the reason we highlighted this is because they weren't just like a couple over $1 million. It was like, 4-point-something million. So that brings everything up. So let's get into the actual areas. Number 1, Sackville. It's kind of usually number 1 or number 2, but this time it's number 1. 34 homes sold there. There's 21 homes active, which gives them 0.6 months of inventory. Stuff is moving quick. Only 15 days on market. Average price there, $449,000. with a 103.6% sale to the list price. So listed at $433.5, sold at $449, gives you roughly a $16,000 over asking price. So that was our number 1 market, Sackville. Number 2, back up to East Hants, Colchester County, Elmsdale, Enfield, Lance area as we know it. $603,000 average selling price there. List price 625, so 96.5%. 51 days on market, so like stuff sticking around a bit there. 32 homes sold, 73 active, 2.3 months of inventory. Now, $603,000 average sale price in that particular area is really, really high. So I even looked at like, well, okay, like what was going on there? And there was 2 homes that were actually in that area. One of those homes was the $4.8 million house. Now, in that area, it was on, well, 2 things. Number one, it was on Grand Lake, so like a really big lake, and obviously very nice house as well. But number 2, it had 53 acres of land. So it kind of justifies that price. And then there was another one as well that was on a lake, 2.3 acres in Mount Uniacke, which funnily enough is kind of captured in this particular MLS district area. And that was over $1 million. So if I strip both of those 2 properties out, the average came down to 466, which is kind of in line with what you'd expect in that particular area. So 603 was just a blip. Like if that's your area, don't go crazy and go, oh my God, where house prices are going nuts up there. No, they're not. It's just 2 homes were substantially over $1 million and just screwed your numbers for this month. Now we had a tie for 3rd place. We had Timberlake, Upper Tantallon, Prospect St. Margaret's Bay, and we had Fairmount, Clayton Park and Rockingham, both tying with 31 sales there. Now, Timberlake, Upper Tantallon is usually in the top 1 or 2. So 31 home sales there, 79 active, gives them like 2.5 months. Average sale price there, $625,000. Average list price there, $625,000. So basically 100%. 45 days on market. So again, taking a little bit longer out there to actually sell. And then obviously tied again was Fairmount, Clayton Park, Rockingham, 31 sales, 22 homes active. And that is a really nice area actually. 0.7 months of inventory, $659,000 average selling price, sale to list of 101.4%. So roughly $9,000 over asking price there because the list was $650. So when you look at all of these numbers and then I go, okay, but what was my experience as well? This is absolutely stacking up with what's going on. So, you know, just this weekend, we wrote 3 offers. All 3 were multiple offers. We've won 1 of them. We're waiting to hear what happens on the other 2. But it gives you that idea that, yes, finally, what I was kind of feeling and saying was going on in the market is now actually showing up in these numbers. So it's definitely a situation that it's like you've got to go out there, you've got to look at the houses as soon as they come up. Preferably you actually get in there soon enough that you're not competing, although we seem to be competing every one that I've done recently, but there you go, there's not a lot I can do about that. Now a quick aside note, we did actually compare some of those top 3 markets actually to last month. And we could see that Sackville area was actually down 6% sale price from last month to this month. Timberlake, Upper Tantallon, St. Margaret's Bay was up 2%, and Fairmount was, which is Fairmount, Clayton Park, Rockingham, was up 7%. So really strong growth there. And again, getting into the Dartmouth markets, you know, I think basically looking at this, there's probably, I would say 40 homes for sale in all of the Dartmouth areas, which is Eastern Passage, Southdale, Creighton Park, Montebello, Keystone, Forest Hills, Colby, Woodlawn, Portland Estates, kind of all of those areas, because there's quite a lot of areas in the Dartmouth area. Yeah, I could quickly add these numbers up, and to me it looks like 45, maybe 50 homes available there. So crazy popular area at the moment in Dartmouth. And again, looking at the average sale to list prices, everybody's like 2.8% over, 4% over, 1.2% over. So yeah, that's a fairly tough area is Dartmouth. So there you go. Those are the stats for this month. We wanted to get it out super quick to you because, like, yeah, these are stats that are definitely changing the market. My expectation is May is probably going to follow in a similar vein because March was a really low amount of inventory and low houses coming on the market for sale in terms of volume. So I think all they've done is we've kind of like flattened out March, and the usual spring bump, which is March and April, is going to be April and May. So famous last words, we'll see what happens. But those are the stats. If you have any questions, then by all means get in touch with us and let's figure out what your question is and get you the answer.